Thank God it's Friday. Welcome to the last edition of the week of Inside Nigeria, reaching you on Leadership Television this Friday morning. My name is Winifred Ukweban. With me in the studio is a lost and found and guest.
Yes, sir.
Manjida, it's always a pleasure to have you in the program.
Thank you very much.
And welcome back once again.
Yes, it's good to
How
be
was your
back.
trip?
Very fine, very fine. Thank you very much.
Yeah, as we usually do, we are going to be reviewing and discussing some major headline stories on some select national newspapers, and we are flagging off with Nigeria's most influential newspaper and the first Friday newspaper in the country, Leadership Friday. Let's see what Leadership Friday is leading with this day. 78 days to go. Military will resist pressure to scuttle 2023 elections, says Defense Headquarters. 78 days to go. Military will resist pressure to scuttle 2023 elections, says Defense Headquarters. Saboteurs bad eggs to face firing squad. Article urges politicians to focus on voters, not pressure military. Army refutes report of troops aborting pregnancies in Northeast. 78 days to go. Military will resist pressure to scuttle 2023 elections, says Defense Headquarters. Saboteurs bad eggs to face firing squad. Article urges politicians to focus on voters, not pressure military. Army refutes report of troops aborting pregnancies in Northeast. That's the latest story on Leadership Friday. From Leadership Friday, we move over to the Punch newspaper. Okay. The Guardian, the Guardian newspaper has similar story with leadership. It says, we won't compromise 2023 despite pressure, says Irabo. We won't compromise 2023 despite pressure, says Irabo. PDP shun all entities, temptations to thwart peaceful pose. PDP says, shun all entities, temptations to thwart peaceful pose. Stakeholders want synergy among INEC, NCC, NICOM SAT for hitch-free election. 2023 pose significant to Africa's stability, West African leaders say. We won't compromise 2023 despite pressure, says Irabo. PDP shun all entities, temptations to thwart peaceful pose. Stakeholders want synergy among INEC, NCC, NICOM SAT for hitch-free election. 2023 pose significant to Africa's stability, West African leaders say. But as a matter of fact, when the story broke yesterday, I thought, because I checked the website, I thought maybe it wasn't so clear. You know, some media reports could be mischievous.
Yes, can be sensationalized.
Yes, sensationalized. So now we have it that is true after all.
Well, yes, about the pressures
Yes.
on the armed forces. I think for those who watched the clip of the interaction between the defense chief and journalist, it was a question that was posed to him about something that's to do with resisting pressure. I don't think it was the kernel of the interaction, actually.
Okay. Yes.
So he now made the point that yes, there could be pressure here and there, but that they will not succumb, and that anybody who decides to do that will be dealt with. Now, it is clear that that wasn't the kernel of the interaction or the statement being put out by the defense chief. But again, this calls to question the methodology of public communication by service chiefs and security heads, and this is very important. You see, the defense chief didn't speak like a soldier. He didn't speak like somebody who's in charge of the defense of Nigeria. He spoke like an ordinary person. He spoke like a politician, so to say. And that is what I think those that are in charge of his communication management should actually correct immediately. And for all security heads, a security head speaks with finality. He speaks with certainty. A soldier or any member or any officer, many men, women, or officers of the armed forces have no business being under pressure in the first place. have no business contemplating even truncating peaceful elections. It's something that should not occur to anybody once you are within the establishment.
You are against the use of the word pressure.
Yeah, he shouldn't have simply, he should have, if I were to be the chief of defense staff, from after the question, I'll say the armed forces will ensure peaceful election in line with the Constitution and the Electoral Act, full stop. Because you must speak in a way that will instill confidence.
Confidence, yes.
I don't know if you understand.
Yes, I did, because actually when the news broke yesterday, that was exactly, that fear came into me. Because when I saw the word, we are under pressure. The
impression that gave is that probably those who hired him.
Yes, that was what actually came to my mind.
I'm sure it's an innocent.
And I was like, what if he now gives him?
Because if that is the fear. So there's no confidence now from that statement.
Yes.
So what would have been a statement of confidence to the Nigerian people? Being the chief of defense staff would have been straight to the point. The army or the defense forces, security forces, will ensure a free, fair, and peaceful election in line with the constitutional mandate given to it and in compliance with the Electoral Act. Simple. When you begin to see that there are pressures, there are Judases, some people, you are making it look like the armed forces is now a free-for-all entity that anybody can come and attempt to infiltrate. No. Because you need, as a defense chief, your words carry weight.
Yes,
it has to be certain, it has to be reassuring, it should leave no room for such speculations. Even though we know that, yes, truly there are pressures at every level. The local government chairman in one local government is pressuring the DPO there, is pressuring the army command there.
Yes.
The state, we know, across party lines for that matter. Yes, but you see, defense chief should not acknowledge that his men are even open for pressure in the first place. Because the question will not be, at what point did the pressure start? What was the relationship between the defense forces and politicians that would have led to some form of
pressure?
So it should have been an authoritative statement on the fact that no, we will not. We will do this, the needful, and leave it at that. Our service chiefs must understand that the way a soldier should communicate, a general of the armed forces,
different from
the way I will communicate. The other person
it's
will say
something that should inspire hope in the citizens.
You are the armed forces. You should not leave room for such speculations. Say it as it is. Say it. Just like Buhari, you don't have to commend Mr. President on this matter, even if he intends to do otherwise as a politician. But in terms of the time, I am going to conduct.
Even at hunger.
He's not giving room for. Like I said, he's a president and he's a politician himself. He belongs to a party. He has his masses, he has his sentiments. We may not rule out the fact that probably something might happen at the end of the day. We don't know. But the fact that this man is saying
every step of the way, he's always been telling
with
us,
authoritative tone, there is no room for. He's beginning to make Nigerians believe that indeed the president means this.
Oh, yes.
So the chief of defense staff should have told that part. Make your statement punchy. Leave it at that. I'm sure it wouldn't have made him fun to pay newspapers. Because there would have been nothing.
Yes.
There will be no news in a chief saying we will do our job according to the law. Final.
Exactly.
But when you now start talking about pressure, it sends a wrong message.
And automatically everybody's mind is pointed at one direction.
The ruling party, of
course.
How can the opposition party put pressure or the defense chief or the spread now?
That's only what is coming to the minds of Nigerians.
So that's why he shouldn't have made. They should be. These are feedback mechanisms. Izarabo is a fantastic gentleman who has done so well, to make sure that he improves on the situation he met on ground. We've seen how he's working with other armed services in synergy. Not a gentleman, very effective. He discharges his responsibility very well when he was Cheta Commander Operation Lafia Doli and in the early days of the Boko Haram insurgency. So he's somebody that I trust in his capacity and competence, but the communication needs to be worked on. A soldier speaks there, you think that the highest authority in the world has spoken. There should be no room for speculation or second guessing, because this is a military statement. So I think he needs to go back to that, that move.
And besides, too, I was expecting to say, because the defense headquarters actually declared some terrorists wanted, with a bounty of 5 million each on each person's head, and He didn't give a feedback on that.
Maybe there's no progress in that regard. But at the fact that it was under him too, that for the first time we are seeing steps being taken to designate and begin to treat killer herdsmen that we used to call bandits here and there as terrorists, which we have advocated for the past 6 years. It's coming late, but it is better than never at all. So he has done well in that regard. This is the first time that bandits, we call bandits, are being treated like Boko Haram members, putting the pictures out there at the airport everywhere they're there with the bounty. And they've deployed air power now to actually smoke them out of their forests and other hideouts. So he's doing well in that regard. I'm sure why he didn't even update is because maybe none of them have actually been found.
But Bello did speak out that he's surprised that they are placed bounty on him.
And
that most of them are also part of the insecurity issues. I thought they will also respond to that.
Honestly, we don't expect the service chief.
Intoji Bello, they gave a chieftaincy title.
Yeah, you don't expect the defense chief to be talking to Intoji Bello. What the defense chief should be doing is there's an effort to get him down. And I think the defense forces did all the support, particularly of political leaders.
However, there was also a trending issue that they aborted pregnancies of.
That issue, I watched it on one of these international media outfits yesterday. It looks very unlikely. Although I'm not trying to hold brief for the army, but the story is such that I don't want to speculate, but what my reading is this one. I don't think the army has the sophistication to coordinate 10,000 abortions. I don't think so.
They couldn't have, but they could have enlisted maybe because I know some of NGOs that talked about family planning in that guide.
Exactly. So I also think
that's what came to my
mind. You see, from my experience, from what I read and what I knew about a similar situation in Sudan, Western Darfur, when the Janjaweed militiamen were sacking, killing, terrorizing members of the community in Western Darfur, they were also raping women. And I also know that most of those women that were raped, those that survived with the pregnancy, either willingly aborted the fetus, and even when some of them gave birth, they actually committed infanticide. You know why? Because the child reminds them of the horror of being abused, of being, So I know that a lot of women will opt for abortion from such kind of pregnancies. So if the situation is that maybe they assisted, maybe they provided a cover for people to help, because the truth is, anybody who was violated in the manner Boko Haram and such other terror groups did, there will be need. So you don't want to keep a child that reminds you of the brutality of the father. I mean, you can never love that. It will be difficult to love such a child. Yes. So maybe under that guise, maybe the army would have, under their protection, allowed, maybe. But I'm saying, well, at the risk of sounding a little bit non-conformist, I do not think this is so much of an issue that should bother us at this time. What is important is that the army should be put under certain kind of subtle pressure to bring an end to insecurity, so that we won't have some kind of unwanted pregnancy in this workplace. Not about abortion, but again, the army will have to come out to the side of the story. But I just think that these are not very serious issues in Nigeria. For me, it's not so, except they were forced to abort. If the women were forced, it should have been an issue. But if there was no forceful abortion, maybe just the army organized, or maybe kind of provided a cover for NGOs or some other medical outreach support groups to help terminate certain kind of pregnancy that are unwanted by the women. It's something that, well, the army will have to explain. But I doubt very much. I don't think the army has a program for forced abortion of women in IDP camps. I don't think so.
Thank you so much. From the Guardian newspaper, we're moving over to The Nation. Let's see Nation's cover. Nation's cover. The Nation says Emefiele, review of cash withdrawal policy likely. Emefiele, review of cash withdrawal policy likely. 1 trillion naira mopped up. Reps invite CBN governor. Wants plan suspended. Emefiele, review of cash withdrawal policy likely. But however, some news report said there's no going back.
I think there's no going back on the policy.
That has the backing of
the president. But I think he also said that the withdrawal limits may be reviewed.
Okay.
So it's like that was whatever papers are
Okay.
reporting it on both.
Both sides. Okay.
But the policy itself is in place. But okay, there might be an adjustment of the policy itself. So,
Okay.
which is something that any normal human being institution should do.
Generally, what is your view on this cash withdrawal policy and cashless society?
Okay, first,
that
let
he
me
wants to
enforce, right?
or enforce on Nigerians.
Okay, first, let me say that cashless policy, the major advantage of cashless policy is that it will help for more financial transparency.
Okay.
That is, it will be easy to track illicit flow of funds.
Okay.
It will be easy to, map economic and financial crimes and corrupt tendencies in government spending. It's something you can easily track now, since cash is becoming difficult to transact with. That is all. And again, in any case, it will depend on the political will of the government to use the information they will have to prosecute or go after people that are offenders. So that's the only advantage. Okay. Now, this policy, whether you are running cashless.
So sorry, it's the same story we have on the Punch, and the Punch says cash withdrawal Emefiele insists on limits, Revs demand suspension. You see what I was talking
about? No, but you can see the right there. It says CBN governor says withdrawal limits will be increased or reduced. That is, it can be adjusted.
CBN governor says withdrawal limits will be increased or reduced. Customers return 1 trillion naira old notes to banks. This kept in CBN votes. No banks in our constituencies. Cashless policy can't work.
No, so like I was saying, that's the only advantage. Now, for you to not have that kind of policy, now go back to the last rider there. How far have we penetrated the nook and crannies of this country with banking services?
Exactly.
Banks, ATMs, POS, and all of that. How far have the banks been able to do that? Like the rest are saying, like where I come from, for example, in the 5 local governments that constitute my senatorial district, all the banks are concentrated in just one local government. And that one local government is only in one street of the local government. The only other bank that is a bit away from others is Old Union Bank in the same local government, but okay, a little bit further from the younger, the new generation bank. So everybody, if you go to ATM points in Okene, for example, where I come from, sometimes I wonder how the banks actually cope, because the queue all over, everybody from tens of kilometers away must come there for withdrawal.
Exactly.
And so, how is the CBN working with the banks to increase banking services to the doorsteps of everybody, particularly the rural communities? In fact, I was speaking to somebody yesterday who is from Cross River State. And they said in the entire Cross River North of Cross River, the only place you have bank is in Ikom. Yes. That there is a first bank somewhere in Obudu, but not so functional. But where you have banks is in Ikom. I mean, if you know the distance, you're going to travel. So this is story across the country.
It is, and one other thing too is that because I was asking, and many Nigerians too are wondering, most of Nigerians' population is in the rural areas. Just as we talked about, 70% of the population lives in the rural areas, and we also have the illiterate Nigerians. Whether we like it or not, they are. So how do you now expect them? How would they now fit into these?
That's the problem, because
even up to date, recently, when you go to the banking hall, I still have 1 or 2 persons that will make me, sorry, please help me to fill.
Of course,
sure. And I do for them.
It's a difficult situation.
So how are they now going to
again, like I said, the only advantage to this, it's okay, you can be able to monitor and track financial transactions much more efficiently using the NFIU and the compliance department in banks to tackle fraud, corruption, and all of that. But this policy will not increase the value of the naira. It will reduce inflation. It has no positive effect other than what I just told you. So if you now weigh it side by side, why do you want to put people through pains? When in the first place to fight corruption effectively, do not start with the bank. So it starts with the MDS. It starts with tackling procurement fraud within the system. It starts with them appointing and employing people of integrity into the system. It starts with discipline within the system. It starts with imposing corporate governance code in public service. So that people cannot even do this thing in the first place before you now begin to talk about. So are we not going to be caught in a web of double jeopardy where this policy does not really have economic benefit? And at the same time, it's going to cause hardship for some other people. When initially the policy came out, I was a bit okay, let us give them benefit of doubt. But the feedback I have gotten between the day this policy was announced and yesterday is being such that almost everybody of concern are raising critical issues.
Exactly. This is even coming just closely on the heels of this redesign, Naira redesignation, or what's it called?
Yes.
That you take, of course, whatever you have now, for many those that have kept their money or they are attached somewhere else, they are returning it to the bank. So now getting the money, what it costs, and inflation.
Again, if you look, no.
That you now have so much to withdraw from it.
It won't even reduce inflation. And let me tell you the problem it's going to have.
And the hardship is going to cause.
Thank you very much. Now, if you look at, for example, the cost of energy, that we're still battling with, price of petrol, scarcity, and all that, it means somebody have to pay more for the logistics of going to withdraw money from the ATM to meet certain financial demands that he wants. For example, if, I have a purchase to make from a farm settlement of 100,000, it means I have to travel from Obudu to Ikom 5 days in a week, every day, to and fro to withdraw 20,000. I might end up paying probably 10,000 per trip because of the cost of energy.
Exactly. And even if you were to do online transactions, okay, a situation whereby you have online payments to make, they said you want to be a cashless. At the end of the day, who is going to benefit? The banks, because maybe you have a GTB account, you are making payment to different banks. You have to make, you are making payment to this one. Think about the deductions that is going to.
No, that is another one. The secondly, there are people that are not banks.
You want to say that, okay, you will reduce these.
There are service providers that do not want to go to the rigor of banking.
Yes, banking.
So they want cash for their, particularly farmers.
Yes.
Farmers
they don't have exactly
because they can't bear this cost.
Yes.
They can't bear it. So they will ask you for cash.
Yes.
So it means you have to now go and start traveling every 5 times a week, go and get 100,000.
Exactly.
And by the weekend you go to the farmstead and deposit the money for goods. So how would that affect the economy? I think it's going to create a lot of problems. Chaos. And again, what is the urgency for this? I just think that both the Naira redesign, including this one, I think they should have simply left it in abeyance. When the new government comes, let them have an agenda and the government agenda they want to run on. And if they decide to redesign Naira, fine. If they decide to do this, fine. You cannot waste our time.
Whereby Mefelecy has a year plus to go.
Yes, but at least you'll be taking instructions from the president, who is our next government. So you cannot waste our time, run the economy around in 7 years. And towards the end, you are coming with such kind of policies. So there's something not so tidy about this.
It is.
What is the urgency? Like I said, it will affect the current, it will affect the price of goods and services in the market positively. It will reduce inflation.
No.
It will not make Naira gain value against the dollar. So if you weigh it side by side, the benefit and what is likely to cost to the society and to the people, you need to wonder what is now the urgency of pushing through this policy.
Exactly.
By all means, what is there? So I just are talking, and I'm sure if they're getting the feedback. And from what I'm seeing, it's like more Nigerians are actually opposed to this policy. And I would expect the CBN to actually bow to public pressure and probably suspend the policy.
Thank you so much. Well, viewers, we are going on a break. When we come back, we'll be looking at the next paper we have on our menu. Please don't go away. Stay tuned.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Inside Nigeria, keeping you informed on what matters.
Welcome back. In case you're just tuning in, is Inside Nigeria on Leadership Television. I'm together in the studio with our public affairs analyst. Is actually lost and found because he's been away.
I've been on away without leave.
Imagine that. I'm so much happy to see you today. It's always a pleasure to have you around. Thank God it's Friday. So let's look at the next paper we have on our menu, and that is Vanguard newspaper. Vanguard Petrol DSS orders dealers to restore supply in 48 hours. Petrol DSS orders dealers to restore supply in 48 hours at officially approved rates. Defaulters to be treated as threats to national security. As DSS meets NNPC officials, marketers, tanker drivers, other stakeholders. Petrol DSS orders dealers to restore supply in 48 hours at officially approved rates. Defaulters to be treated as threats to national security. As DSS meets NNPC officials, marketers, tanker drivers, other stakeholders. Majid, since February, the queue came back to our filling station.
It comes back like
December. It has not updated.
It comes
the
like
situation has remained constant.
It's like a monthly thing now.
Yes.
It comes in and goes, disappears.
Did it disappear? I think it just disappeared for a few days and came back.
So it's like
and anytime it comes back with a hike.
It's like resistant malaria.
Yes.
And it comes, you treat, next time they ask you to bring more medications. This is one of the best news I've heard in Nigeria in a long while.
Yeah, I heard it this morning too.
It's one of the best statements I've seen from any government agency. You know why? As I've always insisted on this platform and other platforms, they don't treat fuel scarcity as just fuel scarcity, queue, and subsidy matter. That's not it. What we're facing is energy crisis, energy insecurity. Every nation in the world, every nation on earth must strive to achieve two things: food security and energy security, as part of government's responsibility of providing welfare and security. Without these two, government cannot be said to have been able to provide welfare and security. And so all over the world, let me emphasize this, government of any serious-minded country, from the United States of America to the UK, to France, most of Western Europe, to China, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, they subsidize two items for their citizens, among many other subsidies.
Yes.
Food and energy. Food and energy. America spends billions of dollars annually to subsidize agriculture and food. But there are specific items that they subsidize, those that they know that people consume the more. Why food is very cheap in America. Very cheap. You can live under the bill, but you eat.
Yes.
In addition to providing subsidy for food, they also subsidize feeding through social security services. So there's food stamp available for unemployed people. There are food banks. There are food stores. There are where you can just eat a meal provided by the state.
Yes.
It's the core responsibility of government. The same thing with energy. Let me tell you, those that are here that talk about capitalism, those that say they want to privatize all refineries, those that say they want to privatize all pipelines, those that want to privatize Transmission Company of Nigeria and Co. This is one lesson they have not learned. I'm sure this will, if you pay attention, the DSS is saying something. Energy is a matter of national security, without which it can lead to the collapse, the disintegration, the destabilization of a country. And the prolonged fuel scarcity is about leading to that. So NNPC is telling, that as DSS, this is a threat to national security.
But initially, when I saw it, when I heard the news, I was like, DSS, what's this?
Because there's failure of leadership.
I mean that.
Energy is a matter of national security.
I'm hearing it from you now. That is what's
now. There is leadership failure. But DSS is saying what we know, what we have seen, what we can tell. If this is prolonged beyond now, it could lead to a major crisis. It can lead to increase in crime. When people are hungry and frustrated, there's nothing they can do. They will defy law and order.
Like what we're seeing.
The only way you can keep people in check is to provide for them. Even your children. Provide for your children. Then you can tell them to come home by 8 and they'll come home by 8:30 and apologize. If you don't provide for your children and they provide for themselves, you can't place embargo on them. You can't place time limit on them. You can't do anything to them.
So true.
Yes. So this is saying that this has prolonged for too long. And that everybody involved should come and resolve the matter. Ordinary DSS is not supposed to on their own come out. But there's a lacuna somewhere.
I was surprised when I...
The same way even this same CBN, if you notice, CBN was playing the role of both fiscal and monetary policy formulation throughout the Buhari administration. By funding agriculture, spending money.
Yes, that's exactly
because there was a lacuna. Yes. Ordinarily, the president. NNPC to NNPC Limited, assigned PIA into law, the PIB into PIA, which is an effective law. It has become worse in the sector. Why are you still retaining the leadership of that institution, the NNPC? Why are you still treating us as petroleum minister? These are the issues. So DSS is saying people can't see it. We need to sound this warning. Because if it happens, they will be the ones battling to restore order. To tell you how fuel scarcity causes disorder. The first thing you notice is that cars queue up and block a lane and road safety cannot enforce traffic rules.
That's what
it begins from there.
Yes.
If it gets worse, something worse than that will happen.
There are certain places in Abuja.
You can't drive fast now.
Exactly.
That is the beginning. Normally, just road safety and police should be able to control traffic. You can't drive on one way. Not during fuel scarcity. Because if you try it, there will be riots. It starts like that. It could graduate to something bigger. So energy, and let me tell you what energy constitutes: petrol, diesel, electricity, aviation fuel, or anything to do with powering our industries and our homes. It's called energy. There's something known as energy security. Because energy is a matter of national security. So governments all over the world provide incentives to make energy available. And there are two sides to energy security. Energy must be available at an affordable price. If it's available and not affordable, there's no security there. It's a problem. If it's affordable and not available, it's a problem. The two must go hand in hand. That's why subsidy must remain a defining feature of energy security. Private sector can provide you availability. Like diesel, it's been deregulated since. It's available.
Yes,
but you know what diesel is doing to the Nigerian economy?
Yes.
Banks no longer put on their generating sets during working hours. And they have shortened the time of work. Yes. Now, banks are only powering their ICT units that cannot shut down for one day. A time will come if the price of diesel keeps increasing and the revenue of the banks keep reducing, they will have to shut down the ICT platform. It begins to affect the financial sector. That is what energy does to any country. So that government sits down and allow energy to balloon. That's why governments all over the world have fundamental role in energy. And so that's when I see that you come back and talk about the moving government house from energy, I feel like vomiting. We are kind of economists in this man. Which book is it reading from? Yes, you can tell me that NNPC is corrupt and inefficient. Fix it. I've made the point severally. You can't run away from fixing public sector. If you don't fix the public sector, nothing will work in Nigeria. That was why our privatizations in 1999 didn't work. It has not worked.
Yes.
Power has privatized from the generation and transmission and the distribution end. How far?
The problem is worse.
The most stable, the most efficient is transmission company of Nigeria, which is still in government hands. Believe you me, if you look at the output of generating of power plants, the government-controlled hydropower dams are actually contributing the largest to the national grid than even the privatized ones to today. But if you notice, when there is rainy season, there is always increase in power because the Kaidi dam is working, and all of that. When there is dry season, power drops. See, government has a role to play in the business and economy of a country, especially energy. Energy. Nobody can do it for you. Let me refer you to America, almighty America. Initially, America used government and foreign policy mechanisms to secure oil fields for American oil companies overseas so that they can explore, make money, and then export crude oil into America for energy security at home. But when the governments of most of the Middle East countries became independent and began to take ownership of their oil and gas industry, that should change America, sort of. So America was not at the mercy of the governments of Saudi Arabia, of Iraq, of Iran. So they didn't have that free access to energy as they used to have. For example, Saudi Aramco, which was founded by Americans, became a wholly Saudi company in 1985. So there was a problem now. And what was the problem? These countries can decide to punish America anytime they want by increasing price of crude oil. America had devised a means. In 1973, the Arab-Israeli War was one that was supported by Saudi Arabia. King Faisal of Saudi Arabia invested emotions seriously in that war on the side of Palestine. But America supported Israel. And Israel turned what was going to be a defeat on them to victory later. So that angered Saudi Arabia so much. So Saudi imposed an oil embargo on the entire Western world. This same fake news I said in Nigeria sprang up in America. It was terrible. Americans suffered. Suffered. And because America's oil industry was largely privatized, it was in the private hands. Government could do nothing to bring succor. So because of the lack of export of crude from oil producing countries into America, it sent the price of gallon of petrol through the roof. That's when America decided, American government decided to establish the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. And by 1972-1975, America created underground storage tanks of millions of liters of crude that can sustain America for 5 years, even if there's no single import of crude
into America.
America started buying crude. American government started buying crude and storing there. So what America now does to intervene and subsidize petrol is this: whenever the price of crude in the international market is rising, it will release from that reserve to marketers in America to refine and sell at lower prices through an executive order. Recently, there was a time that crude oil price rose to $100 per barrel, and American petrol prices too rose to bring down the price of petrol because there was complaint America it's just too high. The Biden administration released millions of barrels into the market to bring down the price. Now, as they're going into winter, they're going deeper into winter. Now, this is December. It has been estimated or predicted rather that Saudi Arabia might cut production output, which might send the price of crude above $100 again. And repeat something that happened early in the year in America. Joe Biden flew from America to Riyadh to go and beg, appeal that Saudi should rather increase production output so that they can bring down the price. You know, Saudi and America, they have strategic military alliance. Yes, so America uses that to push Saudi to do certain things for them. I'm telling you, the extent a government goes to make sure that the price of gallon of petrol in America is down. I'm intrigued. Now, when he went, Saudi people are not happy with the Biden administration for so many reasons, for geopolitical reasons. So they didn't succumb to his demands. They didn't. So in anticipation of Saudi cutting output this past November going to December, which might send the price of crude into the market above $100, Joe Biden has signed an executive bill to release 50 million barrels of crude to producers in America to refine and sell at a lower rate for the winter period. So you begin to ask your politicians, where did they get this idea from that government has no business in business, particularly energy management, that is security management? You begin to wonder, where did they get this from? Let's go to the UK. You see, the UK privatizes security, energy security assets in the 90s and 80s. Yes, for the good reasons, blah, blah, blah. But they didn't factor on the affordability side. That there could be a war in Ukraine that would destabilize international supply chains and create scarcity that will now increase price. They didn't see it coming. So when this war broke out recently, the effect of government not having a role, a productive role in energy management, is what has created cost of living crisis in UK. There's an increase in electricity bills, cooking gas bills, and petrol. The UK government now has now resorted to spending over $100 billion to subsidize cooking gas and electricity bills for their citizens. It is called energy price cap subsidy, $100 billion. And the citizens are still complaining that it's not enough, and they're going on strike to protest that. This thing is not enough. So the Labour Party of UK is now saying the lasting solution to this problem is for the UK to go back and do what France, what Norway, what Russia, what Ukraine has been doing all these years. Establish state-owned enterprises in energy management. Establish government-owned power company. Establish government-owned oil and gas industries. France has a power company that is state-owned. It's owned by government, like NEPA. It provides subsidized power for France. In fact, in their own case, the government of France does not reveal how much they subsidize their electricity. But you get electricity at an affordable rate, that's your business. But the same company provides power at a commercial rate in UK as a well-run company. And so the UK people are saying, so we are paying these people money for supply of electricity, and that money to subsidize their own citizens. Why can't we have our own company?
It's true.
Saudi Arabia subsidizes petrol, education, healthcare, everything for citizens. They impose a 15% VAT. The citizens are crying. With all the subsidy, you cannot pay tax again. But it tells you what governments do all over the world to provide energy security. Why is our own different? NNPC thinks it can sit down and abdicate its responsibility to private sector people to be doing. And I look at them and I shake my head.
However, there's this first rider of Vanguard again that is unsettling. It says to sell at official rates.
Yes.
You see Vanguard newspaper.
Yes.
But how are you? Because IPMA has already raised the alarm that they are buying at about 200 and.
NNPC should explain why anybody is buying at that price. Because what this people are saying
So how are they going to realign it?
It has to do with energy security. What this is telling you is government has looked at the situation. Nigerians can't afford to buy petrol. Beyond this current price, you're buying it. So NNPC government has provided subsidy for this same thing at this amount. Why is it not getting to the Hitman people? Why are the debt persistent at the higher price? Go and resolve that matter and get petrol to the people at the approved price. We don't want to know how you're going to do it. Because I'm sure this is aware that government has approved subsidies, payments, up to June next year. So why are you not telling us that you cannot continue to supply?
Because Ipman said they're already selling at over.
So why is the NNPC? What is responsible for that? NNPC what? After they have paid money for subsidy, the government has paid. Why if you don't want to pay yourself for subsidy? So how come you're not remitting to CBN because you claim that they're paying subsidy? Why not then able to pay the subsidy well? That's the question. So I have to let you know that it has to be affordable back to that price that government has approved. So NNPC should come out and tell us now that they don't have the money. That's okay. Remove official subsidy then. Let Nigerians buy petrol at 500 naira per litre and bear the consequences. Either the ruling party will bear the consequences or the economy itself will bear the consequences. The day you increase petrol price officially.
But another thing is that with this directive, don't you think some filling stations can just close down?
Like I said, what this highlights, I don't imagine.
Let's have a Vanguard newspaper.
I don't imagine that this thing will resolve problem for 8 hours. No, I'm not saying so. No. I'm saying what DSS is trying to highlight here.
He said at officially approved rates,
yes,
importers to be treated as threats to national security.
Yes. No, what this is a lesson for the whole of Nigerians to learn now, including those how to do laws post 2023. That energy is a matter of national security. So if you are taking it with levity, maybe you think that work is a normal thing that should be allowed to just remain. It doesn't matter. Just understand that it's a security matter.
It has not done for too long. We are talking about since February.
So what this is highlighting, what it will result in 48 hours is immaterial. But this is making a bold statement that some of us are making and nobody seems to be listening. That petroleum, diesel, electricity, anything has to do with energy, it's a matter of national security. DSS is the prime security and intelligence agency in Nigeria. It's like Nigeria's equivalent of either FBI or CIA. So for them to be telling you this, they know the feelers from the field that this thing you are seeing can cause a security breach in the country. So anybody who is all policy formulators, all policy propositions, should begin to factor energy as a matter of national security priority into their policies. And that is why anybody that's thinking of privatizing anything in this sector does not know what he's saying. Because when you think of it, if you have privatized everything, like you said, if someone said that I want to sell, I don't want to sell anymore. Will you force him to sell? So United Nigerians are the mercy of private individuals who can decide to do and undo at any time. That's why government must be present. Government, run your own refineries. State government, build your own. Private sector, build your own. Now this is how it's going with. Subsidy will still be there. Don't make a mistake about it. But this is how subsidy will not work. Government will now say crude to producers at subsidized level. So it is tidier. See, there will be no corruption. You know why? If you estimate that Nigerians require, say, 2 million barrels of crude for 6 months to be consumed, you sell. So you know how much you reduce as discount for them. And so they produce and sell at a particular price. They will not go beyond certain levels. Excellent and clean. So the best form of subsidy is to subsidize production of, not importation. I agree. But fix refineries first.
But the refineries have refused to be fixed or refused to work.
No, they have refused to fix them. What is the business of the refinery? The oldest refinery in the world is in India. Or one of the oldest in the world is in India. Perfectly. It's the largest refinery in the world. It refines over a million barrels of crude per day. That is
deployed to rehabilitate or.
So it is Nigeria. It is
maintain it.
Those that are supposed to fix it have not fixed it. It's not the refinery is not his fault. Those that are supposed to fix it have not fixed it. There's no oil production in the country in the world that imports petrol like Nigeria. No per country.
Wow, so unfortunate. Thank you so much, Majid Dahiru. It's been a pleasure to have you on the program. This is where we end today's program, Inside Nigeria on Leadership Television. I look forward to having you.
Thank you very much. Hopefully.
Next week. My name is Winifred Ubebo. Don't forget, security is a collective responsibility. And it's your responsibility to stay safe. Till I come your way again next week on Monday. Have a beautiful weekend. Bye.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.